Hello, good evening, and thanks again for another edition of Ideas Exchange. This is TVXYZ. This program comes to you every Wednesday, and tonight we are looking at another very controversial issue which has provoked Ghanaians to speak out. It is about the Achimota forest. Remember last week it was about the Ejapa deal and the concerns about what many perceived as state capture under the guise of a deal to collateralize our mineral royalties. This time, it is about a forest in the heart of the capital city. That is the Achimota forest. It started with rumors that it has been sold. Government made an attempt to clear that rumor, and so there was a press conference, and in that statement by the sector minister, they made it clear that government, through the president's signature, had given the go-ahead under the executive instrument 44 to hive off portions of the Achimota forest. And even when that controversy was about dying, then there was a bombshell. That bombshell was the will of the late Sir John. He's popularly known as Jazz. Kojo Owusu-Efriye, the former General Secretary of the NPP and the late Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission. And that will exposed a lot. Portions of the Achimota land already given out and willed to family members. And that raised suspicions that the executive instrument that was signed by the president perhaps was an agenda to legitimize the sharing of portions of the Achimota forest. And many people even raised concerns that, but for the leakage of Sir John's will, many people who had already taken portions of the Achimota forest would have kept quiet, and the information would have been kept under sleeves, and nobody would have known that the Achimota forest is already gone or going. And then in that process, we heard several comments, several accusations and counter-accusations, and then we all know that the government says they are investigating. The sector minister says they have taken a decision that portions given out to family members as beneficiaries, they no longer would have it. And we know this case is in court. And I'm referring to the will of the late Kojo Owusu-Efriye, popularly known as Sir John. And then we know that Clocksag has also waved into this very delicate issue, because Ghanaians are concerned. Anytime it rains, Accra gets flooded, and many people believe that we have almost swallowed all our green belts, and the Achimota forest would be the little left for us to see some beauty. And if anybody, either government or the owners, would want to add value, then it may be turned into the ecotourism project that was anticipated before the close of 2016. Now we know that the traditional authorities, several of them are speaking out. From Jamestown to Osu to the Ghana Traditional Council, they have issued several statements. But today, we are speaking to one group, that's the Osu Paramountcy. They are speaking out and they are challenging the Owu family to come out to prove that they have legitimacy to the portions of the forest or the whole forest. And another interesting aspect is the fact that even when many Ghanaians want this issue to end with Ghanaians satisfied that the forest is intact, the Osu family, under the name of the Ni Odoi Kwao family, the head is with us in the studio. They will be telling us the historical background of this controversy, where we are, and the way forward. I will introduce them first, but I made mention of the Clocksag. The reason is that they have also spoken to very critical issues, because many Ghanaians have concluded that if the public purse, if the state property, if anything belonging to the average taxpayer is to be protected, it is either the public or civil servants who must be the gatekeepers of anything Ghanaian, because we sweat to pay 700,000 people who take over 21.7 billion cedis on a yearly basis on the average as salaries. That's a huge chunk. And the best they can do is to protect what belongs to Ghanaians. And so the question is, why will civil and public servants keep quiet for government to steal everything? And if you look at what I am sharing on the screen, it is a quote by the late Nathan Anan Kwao. It's a former public servant, a diplomat, an educationist par excellence. And he was recently honored by the Clocksack. And look at what he said some time ago. It is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward and not the politician. And that is Nathan Kwao. He died, unfortunately, in 2005. Before we play the interview with Clocksack, very brief, I want to introduce my guests in the studio to whet your appetite so that you stay glued by your set and you hear the story about the Achimota forest. Sitting in the middle is Ni Teno Ashigente II, is the principal elder of the Teno Way of Osu. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Tete.
You are Dromo.
Mini G, you are Dromo.
Yehovah G Chofi.
That is God.
That is God Almighty.
Grace. Oh, okay.
So Dromo is grace.
Grace. Yes. Okay, that's the little gang I can speak. And then, of course, the head of the Ni Odoi Kwao family of Osu, and it's in the person of Ni Odoi Kwao. The second is sitting at the extreme left from where I am. Sir, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so let me welcome you to the studio. So when this controversy started, how did you feel when you heard the story, Achimota Forest, Owu family, and all the noise? Many people would put it in quotes on social media, concerns raised by Ghanaians in general. Let me start with you. Okay. Were you surprised?
No, I wasn't surprised, because most of the time you hear such issues, if you don't actually have documents to go into them, it might be one of the social media issues. And so quickly what we did was that we quickly needed to galvanize all our documents to actually ascertain what is under discussion. And so if there is the brief to this, then this what really happened in our case.
Okay, so now let me go to Ni, how do you call it, Odoi Kwao, the second. Now, Ni, if I see your gray hair, you have followed development as far as lands in Accra is concerned. Were you equally surprised?
I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed.
Leave it there. And so we'll be taking that short break from this conversation. Just stay glued to your set. We have a 10-minute interview with the Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Service, that's the Clocksack. I asked them very interesting questions. First, why would they sit down and let all these things happen until there's some leakage? Again, why should I pay the public or civil servant and they look on and allow things to go bad? And when we raise the alarm, they still sit on the fence and pretend that they don't care. I also asked the question about what really does the EI 44 mean, and who has the authority to decide to declassify or to degazette any resource, either land or water body, etc., mineral resource, and so on. Let's listen to Dr. Isaac Bampo.
Yeah, we are much concerned about the media war going on between the MPP and the NDC, because you have a Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016 at 925 that was passed by Parliament, so they should know. And Section 93(4) of this act talks about declassifying a forest reserve. If your permission, let me read the section. It was 93. Application for change or request for rezoning. Where a person seeks to change the zoning of the whole or part of a piece of land, that person shall apply in writing to the District Spatial Planning Committee of the district to which the change relates. in the form prescribed in the zoning regulations and planning standards. 2. The request for rezoning or change of use of land shall be accompanied with a report prepared by a professional planner. 3. A district spatial planning committee shall not grant a request for change of the existing zoning or land use unless the request is intended to make the zoning of the land comply with the structure plan or zoning scheme or local plan. 4. Without limiting subsection 3, the change of use or rezoning of a public space shall be subjected to approval by Parliament. It's very clear. So why they are not looking at this law is a mystery. And that's why I bring to the fore. Because this cry about EI. The EI has got no power to declassify a forest reserve per this Act 925. And when you go to the interpretation, of this Act, it has interpreted public space. And public space means a generally open area accessible to and used by the public, including resource lands, urban utility space, riparian buffer zones, natural park areas, and forests. So it's very clear, very clear. You don't.
Does it raise suspicion?
Well, I cannot say it. I cannot judge. But the issue is that per this law, it is Parliament that can approve the declassification of a forest reserve. And why they are not doing that and arguing in the media is a question all of us must ask them, because that's their responsibility. They must play their role. They must get their act together. The law is saying Parliament should approve. So the Speaker of Parliament must ensure that if Achimota forest needs to be declassified, it is Parliament that must look into that matter and approve or disapprove. It's as simple as that. We don't need to even say we are writing a petition. This is the role of Parliament. It's clear, black and white. Anybody can read it and interpret it. And why they themselves made this law, why they are not using it, we should ask them. It's an issue of, have we been motivated? Has our role been made clear? Is somebody coming into our lane and performing our duties? You have situations where typical civil service institutions institutions or positions has been encumbered by politicians. And we are all here. All of us are looking at it. It's for the general public to come out and say, look, this rule is for the civil service. Don't interfere. But with impunity, our roles are being interfered with, and everybody, the public, is looking on. Parliament is looking on. Our positions are being encumbered by politicians. So what do you expect to happen? We are being silenced. Some of us who talk, we are being demonized. And that's the situation. Everybody should be in his lane. Supreme Court has given a ruling. No civil servant should owe his position or appointment to partisan activities. But we are seeing it happening. And everybody is quiet. It's not one person's fight. This country is for all of us. All of us must ensure that the role of the civil service is maintained. Because we have the institutional memory. The politicians will go and may come, but we have the institutional memory. We have training programs that are supposed to be workshops outside. That is the civil servants that must go. You find politicians going. And we all look at it and we think it's normal. We raised an issue about it, and then what happened? Because Ghana belongs to all of us. We have the general public. We have the institutions. We have the executive. We have parliament. We have the judiciary. So we raised it. And it was a fact. And then what happened? Someone should have taken it on. But nobody did anything. So whose fault? It's all of us.
Why should I continue to pay you?
Why should you continue not to pay me?
As a taxpayer, because your role is to protect my interest.
And if my role as a civil servant, the requisite laws that are there to protect me are being infringed on, what should I do? Because these laws are there to protect me. This law is saying this position should be occupied by a civil servant. Then you go and put a politician there. So my work is not being protected. What do I do? It's all of us, all the institutions to ensure that my work is protected. And if my work is not protected, these are the things that are going to happen. So it's very important that you protect my work. And that's why in the Tankwa, you know, it's the perfection. Perfect my work for me. But you're not doing it. So these are results.
Yes, please.
The issues about the condition of service of the civil service. And that's the issue. What is our conditions as compared to the same?
So that was Dr. Isaac Bampo Adu, the Executive Secretary of Clocksack. We have the longer version of this conversation, which will be available on our YouTube and other social media handles. I'm talking about TVXYZ. So later tonight, you would find this block of conversation we had with the Clocksack Secretary there for you to follow. But in the studio with me is Ni Teno Ashigente, the second, the principal elder of the Teno Way of Osu, and then head of Ni Odoi Kwao family of Osu, who is in the person of Ni Odoi Kwao, the second. Is certain at the extreme left. Now, as far as we are concerned, in 2008, in 2010, from the records I have here, 2013, in 2014, in 2020, in 2022, and again in 2022, the acreage that was reportedly given to the Owu family increased from 90 acres to 361.8 acres. Today you held a press conference.
Yes.
And then you made it clear that the Owu family cannot claim ownership of the Achimota forest. Why is it that between 2008 and 2022, when these things were going on, and learned as I know the Osustu is, because I've encountered many of those who work in that palace, you never knew, or you appear to be quiet, and you are speaking now. Why now?
It is not that we appear to be quiet. At what point did government put out these informations into the public domain? We are getting to know that this is what government have been doing with the Owu family for this span of time. On what basis was government releasing those lands? If government thought that it was the right thing to do, government would have made these information available to the public. In 2014, we, the Osustu, we've been in court with government over the Achimota, over the original Achimota acquisition. Judgment came in our favor. Until recently, we had an issue where the Supreme Court had requested that the Achimota management should be part of the suit. And if in that original acquisition, in the acquisition of 1922, which was the initial acquisition for which the Owus clandestinely went in there to claim the acquisition, yet this time when we were in the court, the Owus were not there. And government knows this information. So if government decided to deal with the Owus, knowing very well that we were in court with government over the original acquisition, for which the Owus were not party to, and we won the case on 2 occasions, until government then requests that we should allow the management of the Achimota school to be part of the suit. How then? And that what government was giving us at the from the 2014 suit, which we won, what government gave us 172 acres. But for the fact that we were asked to bring in the Achimota management, Achimota school management, that 172 would have been given to the Osu school. So how then is government dealing with these people clandestinely? The head of Crossack says something. The motivation is people feeling that they are not properly paid and all of that. But if you are not properly paid, you cannot take the Osu stool as your remuneration for what government is supposed to be doing.
I will stop there because you are raising some interesting issues. My concern is, when did you begin to go to court? You have raised questions, issues about how and when information was made available to the public. But whether we like it or not, my checks indicated that indicate that the Owu family had reason to perhaps lay claim to either all or portion of the Achimota forest. You are quite old enough. Ni Odoi Kwao II. Tell us, what is the linkage of the... Give us some historical background to this.
Fine. I will ask you, in all these matters that is being discussed, have you seen any of the Owu family members, just like you are seeing us?
At least I've heard and I have met the former Deputy Minister for Local Government, Ni Lante van der Poy, who is on record to have categorically spoken to the issue about his grandmother, who was married to the Owus, a great-grandmother, and spoke to some issues that I believe that he's not here. I cannot extend.
We just saw the statement today. He even does not know the statement they made, that they have anything at Achimota. He is pleading that if it is so, then they should be included. So he doesn't know anything about it.
Because he's not here, I don't want us to banter the issue about him and the Owu family. Tell us the historical issues that you know.
Yes, so when this thing happened, the person we hear is one John Edusei, as what? The counsel for the Owu family. He's the only person I have Googled at the Ghana Bar Association website. And he's not part of the councils in the good standing at the bar. But he is the one who had been talking all this while. And I can tell you for a fact that the beginning communique says that it is the Owu family of Osu. There is no Owu family in Osu, for the first place. Now, this Owu they are talking about had lived in Osu during the Katamanso War era in 1826. He died in 1867. This Owu was an interpreter between the indigenous people and then the colonial masters. So in 1839, the colonial masters came out with a tax, pool tax ordinance. In Ghana, we call it Mansamo to Tro Kekpain Pajon.
What does it mean?
Yes, pool tax ordinance. It is Tro Kekpain Pajon. How would I call it in English? It's about 5 pesos.
Okay.
Tro is 3 pesos. And then Pain Pajon is 2 pesos. So 5 pesos per head. And the indigenous people decided not to pay. And it became a banter. It culminated in the bombardment of the coastal towns in 1854. This Ni Owu was a betrayer. So he was ostracized from Osu.
So is this what the documented fact, or maybe...
Oh, it's a documented fact. It's here.
I see a big a book there. So are you
yes, it's documented fact.
Go ahead and tell the story.
It's here. It's here. In all what I'm saying are not folklore. It is a documented fact. So this Niowu went to sojourn with the Gbese Manche, and he was given a place near the Achimota forest to farm. That is how come he came into this picture. So when Owu died, he has no child. So he has no child succeeding him. But when this acquisition was advertised by the colonial government in 1921, in fact, it started in 1919, after the First World War. At the end of the First World War, when this acquisition started, so 1919, when it was advertised, a group of people who are children of Owu's sisters, they constitute themselves as the Owu family, and they presented a claim. So, like I'm saying, if you look at this document that I'm having, this document, this is everything about the Achimota acquisition, the Prince of Wales College.
So when all these things were happening, especially when you give us the history about the colonial masters, advertising, and so on and so forth, I presume that the traditional authorities or the owners of the land were alive.
Yes.
And how come they were missing, and so this £4,000 ended up with the Owus?
No.
We were not missing. We went to court.
At that time?
Oh yes, at that time their claims were dismissed. I have a judgment here. There was a judgment. There was a judgment here. Their claims were dismissed.
But you go ahead.
Their claims were
I'll
dismissed.
come to you, sir.
Okay.
So their claims were dismissed, and the compensation that we were to be given. In fact, when they came in, because they farmed there, some monies were paid. So Gbese Manche ordered him to see the colonial government and collect some amount from them. He proposed 4,000, but he was given 2,000 according to the document. And he went and reported to Gbese Manche with only £100 instead of the £2,000 that was given him. He had never, there is no document that the Owus received £4,000 from the colonial government.
I have seen a document that has been pulled out with comments suggesting that a specific amount was paid in the sum of £4,000.
It is never true.
That was his request to the colonial masters, that amount ought to be paid for the parcel of land. Usually that's what happens in acquisitions. Every claimant will do an estimate. So that was Owu's estimate to the colonial masters, but not what was paid to him.
So what has happened? Let's fast forward and let's talk about modern Ghana, because all this background information is about the Gold Coast era.
Yes.
Now, so 1957, fast forward to 1960, 1980, 1999, 2000, President Kufuor comes into office, and then we hear of 90 acres being hived out. Then later in 2013, 2014, 2020, and then up to 2022, when this whole controversy has surfaced again. What happened within that period?
Okay, so what happened was this. After the first acquisition, those then comes in again during the Achimota extension acquisition in 1927. But this time they were not lucky. The Osu people got wind of it, so they quickly moved in there. But they moved in also at a later time, so they had to move into settlement. And the Owus this time get 333 pounds, 333 pounds, 36 pounds. The Osu people got the same thing. The Gbese Manche and the Kolewe priest, claiming that they gave the Owu family a place to stay there. So they equally were given 336 pounds. And then there was a family by name Okuwe, who were also on the land. They were put there by the Gbese Manche. So they equally got 213 pounds. At that stage, it was actually at a certain court. The Osu Manche made it clear, represented by James Ado. He made it very clear that the Gbese Manche and the Kolewe priest, as well as the Owu family and Okuwe, who were tenants to the Gbese Manche, had no plot of land on that parcel. But for the short of time, they had to move into settlement. But since time would prove all things, in the 1946 acquisition for the University College, the Owus comes again this time, and at this time we had 15 claimants. The Owus comes again, and you know, every time they come to claim portions at that enclave, they come with a single document. if you will see, they abandoned a certain document around claiming it was a grant from Gaman-Chetaki in 1862.
No, I'll go to that, but let me go back.
Yes, so I want to tie in that.
Okay, tie in that quickly.
That all these things in 1946, during the negotiations, whatever Owu seems to have been using for which he was getting those lands was debunked, and it was declared fraudulent. That thing was fraudulently procured in the 1946 judgment. That all that Owu has been doing from 1922 acquisition and 1927 acquisition, even to the time he had come to 1946, was all fraudulent. And the judge makes a copious reference to the acquisition we are talking about today, in the 1927 to 1930 acquisition. That is what we are referring to. Now,
let me come to you, Nikwa. In fact, the gentleman you just listened to is the principal elder of the Tenor Way for Osu. Is Ni Tenor Ashigente the second. Ni Odoi Kwao the second is the head of the Ni Odoi Kwao family of Osu. I understand there are several Ni Odoi Kwao Kwaos in Accra, but there's one thing I find very intriguing. If I own a property, it sounds funny that somebody would decide to pay royalties or pay for that parcel and give some to several other people. There is a missing link. Some would say, is it a reason of what we see today in Accra, where we have divisions of chiefs and you are divided, and what belongs to you is claimed by several and others are taking it from you?
No, it is not so. You see, in acquisitions, you have the landowners who had to be compensated. But if there are tenants on the land, for instance, in the Achimota one, those monies we are talking of that were paid, it is for people who were farming. So if you are farming a perennial crop, you have what it is valued,
crop, for example.
It is valued, and then you are paid. Those who have cottages, in fact, when the
the payment that went to them was not for the land, but
was not for the
valuation of what they had on the land.
On the land as tenants, but it was only the Usustu who are the Aludia owners. Now, you said, I told you that I wasn't surprised, but I'm disappointed. In fact, what is happening today is that anytime people wanted to expropriate a land, maybe government land, they will not go to the right people, right owners. They will not go to them. They will find some miscreants and then label them as being the family which they are giving the land back to, because they have interest in it. And then they will take the lands and share it among themselves. In fact, when this thing started, when the minister spoke on the sister station, we went there for a rejoinder. We are saying that there is no Owu family, but it's a decoy. It has been done before. You know, recently the Bulgarian embassy issue. There is a group of people. They are terrorists. They are the terrorists. Now that they said, you see what you say something. You see something. You say something, which has been inaugurated. What they did was that our family, our family, we had a family head before who is called Odocho. They have taken it and said Odoecho, Odoekwa family of La. And what they have done is that our judgments that are at the National Archives, they have gone to take them. And they are taking it to the courts and got judgments. And they got injunction against many people in Accra here. If you look at how the judge gave the judgment, I have a copy of the ruling here.
We'll go into that.
We'll get that.
I see you with some maps or site plans or whatever.
Yes.
Let's look into them and
during the acquisition. During the acquisition, there were 15 claimants. So each of the claimants.
Let's look at the brown one first, because we've taken a scan of it so that while you show it, we will let it appear on the screen. So I'll tell my producers to share the brown one on the screen so that he can speak to it for us to appreciate the original site plan of the Achimota forest. Okay.
Yeah, so this was the composite. This is the composite plan.
That's the original one.
Yes.
And which year was this?
This was the 19.
Okay, so it's shared on the screen. We may not have the full
this
shot
is the
of everything.
1951.
So while you are speaking to it, it's on the screen. So you speak to it. Now you can put it on the table.
1951.
So you can put it on the table and speak to it.
There is a legend to it. You know, when there is an acquisition, when the claimants come, each and every one will have to prove. And in the final analysis, the one whose claim, who is able to prove his claim, is awarded the compensation. And in this case, it's the Osus that was awarded the compensation.
1951.
In the 1951 one.
What about the other composite plan or site plan or maybe whatever you want to call it, the blue one that you wanted to show?
Those ones are the other claimants. Some of them brought their own site plans.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's continue the conversation. So all these have come up. Now, don't you find it interesting? I'll take the question to him first and I'll come to you to add a supporting comment. Is it not interesting that, because governments have changed, we'll walk into the controversy about Sir John's will and so on, but governments have changed, but for some funny reason, between 2008 and 2022, two different regimes appear to be dealing with the old family. Are they using magic, or you people are just dumb? No,
but you see, like I said, when we had the judgment in the 1946 acquisition, the Owus went into, they appealed against the judgment in 1952, and they lost the appeal. And so one expected that the Owus will go and find a place and let sleeping dogs lie. We are not, in fact, we are surprised.
Have you used that Achimota stretch from the overhead through the Forestry Commission to the police station, the golf course area towards...
yes.
Have you used it?
Yes, I have.
Have you known that over the last 10, 15 years there have been developments there?
I have.
Now, so as owners of the land, has it been of concern to you that something is happening there?
You know, I'm speaking to this issue, it's actually with a heavy heart, because the acquisition of 1927 was actually spearheaded by my great-great-grandfather direct. The 1946 acquisition, it was my great-great-grandfather direct who was part of the negotiation. And so there has never been any acquisition. As far as the Achimota issue is concerned, that doesn't affect me. And so I'm so much concerned.
Do you have land there?
I don't. But you see, all the lands there doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the Osu people. Because you see, the Achimota forest is one of our revered forests. Because the greatest, one of the greatest leaders Ghana has had in the gender circle, a woman leader called Namoli, before the lives of Yasentoa and Dodi Akaibi, was one Namoli. Who
people from Accra?
Let me tell you what it is. You see, when government acquired land from you and compensation is paid, what is your business as to what government is doing? It should be a collective.
So what is
interest.
your business fighting over the land today?
Our business today is that there is a fraud being perpetrated on the people of Ghana. All that we are saying is that Owu family, who were purported to be giving the land back to, it doesn't exist.
Okay, just to help my you know, acquisitions are usually done. In this acquisition, it was done for 99 years. The acquisition had expired. It was based on that we went into the Achimota, the initial Achimota acquisition, and so the extension equally had expired. And so usually when it expires, like you know, the original owners must then get back their land, or there need to be new negotiations going forward.
Okay, so what we will do at this stage, I'm having a conversation with Ni Tenno Ashigente, the second principal elder of the Tenno way of Osu. And then, of course, at the extreme left is Ni Odoi Kwao. The second is the head of the Ni Odoi Kwao family of Osu. We'll be taking a short break. When we come back, two traditional authorities have issued statements. One is the office of the Ga Manche. I'll share that with you on the screen. And then another one also came from the Ga Traditional Council. We want to hear from them, their comment on this. And of course, we want to look at their concern about this will which purported or which suggested that, look, Assassino, Wachewi, so all what they are doing is zero. We'll be back.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. Natural mineral water. Simply natural. Welcome to the Royal Dazzle Event Center. With a lush and well-maintained lawn and garden, you are assured of the best serene and comfortable atmosphere to organize all your family and social events. Live the royal moments here with friends and family. The hosting capacity of 600 to 800 people makes Royal Dazzle the most versatile of places to host weddings, parties, funerals, conferences, concerts, and many more. Create your memories with us. Call us for inquiries on 055-814-8585 or 024-620-2144, or pass by and speak to any of our friendly staff. Locate us at Maijon, close to Zoom Lion headquarters. Royal Dazzle Event Center, creating memories.
Welcome back. This is Ideas Exchange on TVXYZ. My name is Eric Ahainyo. We are looking at the stolen Achimota forest lands. Somebody will say stolen but caught or willed and and taken back. It sounds interesting, but there are serious issues, because if you watched what I shared on or in the name of the sector minister, Abu Jinapo, he said that even if the will says that the lands have been given to beneficiaries of the late Sir John, those lands have been taken back. So they don't have anything. The question is, How could it happen that the Lands Commission says it doesn't have a chairman or the executive or chief executive of a forestry commission, knowing very well that he doesn't own a land, will confidently put it in a will? So somebody is telling lies somewhere. And it comes at a time when many people are raising concerns that could this have happened at Manchester, that Otumfuo or said to the land belonging to him, and government will have the audacity to go there, or any government official, and share them, not paying anything to the original owners of the facility. You go to the Gbewa Palace, Yane's property, and you touch it. Maybe the spirits will take care of you. But there are real issues. Some have even texted me that look at the National Cathedral. There was an issue about that land because if it was going to be used for a private property, that facility there does not belong to Ghana. It belongs to somebody's interest. And it is an issue there. The Bulgarian embassy came up and they raised it in the issue. But the question is, you are virtually weak. That is why all this is happening.
We are...
Okay.
We are not virtually weak. You see, there are criminals amongst us, rogues. Recently, Osu money that had to be paid by the Nigerian High Commission. Certain rogues went claiming that with the assistance of some lawyers, they were able to collect the money.
So where's the money?
They have shared it. You see, when it happens like that, the government officials, officers at the ministries and all that, they take part of the monies. And the real people, that money had been shared, it has finished. And also, you cannot boast of this bottle of water, that from that money, this is what Osu have to show. Nothing. And the people, they are there. And these people...
How angry are the people of Osu or the Ga chiefs when it comes to land and it appears as if the authority you have has been taken away from you?
When the right people go, they will not give it to them. But when the criminals go, then they give it to the criminals and then put it on paper that they are paid.
Now, we don't have much time,
yes,
unfortunately, but I have two press statements. One from the office of the Gamanche. I'll share on the screen while I try to paraphrase or read fast what is in it. This one is titled, On Cessation of Achimota Forest Reserves and Introduction of Ejapa Royalties. Boni ni Taki Adama Lache, the second Gamanche, and the Ga Jase expressed their utmost shock and surprise at the decision by government to declassify the 361.50 acres Achimota Forest Reserves from being a forest reserve through the passing of Executive Instrument 144 by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo. The Achimota Forest Reserve is the only major existing green belt left for Accra and its environs, and such a decision will affect the ecological integrity of the forest and its protection of the water bodies and its natural environment. We therefore call on His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to rescind the decision by immediately withdrawing the EI 144 to protect the ecological integrity of the capital's forest. We also wish to express our displeasure at the decision to mortgage our mineral resources meant for the development of our people to foreigners for a meager sum of money for years, instead of considering and advancing what is in the best interest of the nation. Niga and Jase hope that government will rescind the decision in the best interest of our citizens, thereby preserving and protecting the benefits of the remainder of our natural resources for generations yet unborn. So this is a straightforward statement which only talks about their concern about the gazetting or the declassification. So you speak to it. The other one is from the Traditional Council. And it says the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ga Traditional Council, PO Box 42, Accra. And it says press release by the Ga Traditional Council. It said the attention of the Ga Traditional Council has been drawn to news of the release of portions of the Achimota Forest to the Owu family and matters arising thereafter. The Gamanche and the president of the Ga Traditional Council, Kintaki Teko True, II, has set up a committee of eminent chiefs and stakeholders to investigate all matters leading to the said release. A report on the findings and consequent actions will be made available to the general public, and it dates 24th of May 2022, Gamanches Palace, Kanishi, Accra. Have you been added to this committee that is going to investigate the sale of the Gamanches Palace?
You see, the first one. By one, Adama,
that's signed by Ni Yaote Otu Gan, the second, Gan Jaseche. But in it talks about Boni Nitaki Adamalache, the second.
Adamalache, yes. Right. I'm saying for that one, he's a Ghanaian. So he can express concern as he has done.
Right.
Now, but the second one.
Okay. Signed by Ni Odete Otinto the second, Sempe Manche, and Mankralo of the Gan State.
They should mind their business. What business do they have to set up a committee? Look, we don't have a Gan Traditional Council. We have Gamashi Traditional Council. We have Asine Traditional Council. We have Osu Traditional Council. We have La Traditional Council. We have Teshi Traditional Council. We have Nungwa Traditional Council. We have Pon Traditional Council. We have Tema Traditional Council. We have Adana Traditional Council. We have Ningo. We have Proper Traditional Council. So they cannot claim they don't come into this thing at all. They are busybodies. They said what committee to look into what? What do they know about the Achimota acquisition? Is it their land? They should please keep quiet and stop their. You see that there are two different chiefs in the same area. They are just disgracing us. So these ones, we will treat it with the contempt it deserves.
But some will say that it's not fair when you yourself has admitted on set that it appears as if what you used advisedly, and I'm referring to the same with caution, that criminals are using the name of the Osu tool and conniving with government officials, lawyers, courts to steal royalties that must come to you. Yet, when you want to get support that will give you the weight to be able to fight what is yours, we get this reaction. Is it not worrying?
Oh, I think that, like he said, we welcome every support that seeks to help us retake what has been taken from us. And so we welcome it. But to say that the Gamashi Traditional Council, that's how it must be situated, because there is no Traditional Council. That Gamashi Traditional Council is setting up a committee to look into this matter. Maybe they are not aware that Gamashi doesn't have a plot of land in the Achimota forest. They can throw their weight behind Osu because the Sribwa Committee of 1976 has settled this matter. That Osu, La, Teshin, Nungwa, and all of that are not, they used to be under Gan. We used to have what we call the Gan Traditional Council at the time, which was made possible by the 1927 Legislative Assembly Act. But in the 1976 Sribwa Committee, all these towns gained paramountcy because we've never fought against each other before. And so for those who are not aware, we want to plead with them. We love them. These are our brothers. They should throw their weight behind us, and we will equally do that if we find out that somebody is taking something that belongs to Gamashi or Teshi or Nungwa or La.
So now we don't have much time. We're about 5 minutes left. Let me ask some critical questions. In St. John's will, Achimota Forest is gone forever.
Please. If Achimota Forest is gone forever, we will not be sitting here.
This red is on you and you don't have any weight and the land has been willed.
No, it has not. You see, fraud vitiates everything. These things we are doing is advocacy we are making. The next step, everybody will hear of it.
Is it a threat?
It is not a threat.
It's not a threat. It's
Now, do you trust government? Do you trust the court? Do you believe that the assurances that have been given are enough to shut you up?
We are preparing. It will come to a time when we will be in charge of the IGP position, we will be in charge of the presidency, we will be in charge of the Lands Commission, we will be in charge of the courts, Chief Justice and everything. And I tell you, let them take the lands. Let them put up skyscrapers. Land is not like a mat that you can roll. We will bring everything down. we will take what belongs to us. We can assure them today they have power, they have strength, they can do whatever they want. But we can assure them we are putting everything systematically. We will enter those places, all of them, with our own people. We attend school with them. We are even better than them in classes. But it's because of something.
You sound bitter.
Yes. We are bitter, yes.
What do you wish for Achimota Forest?
What we wish for Achimota Forest is this, that we are also Ghanaians. I can tell you that the land had been shared already. And that one I can tell you for a fact. You see, these buildings that came on some time ago, that is the Fiesta Royal, Noga Hill Hotel, the Nestle headquarters, and they are all in the Achimota Forest. And you see, because at the time, the people who are in power use their strength to appropriate all those lands and things like that. If the nation falls, we all fall. If look at places like New Delhi and all that, the quality of air they breathe over there. If that is what they want to come to Accra, we will all be in it. But you see, the danger is that for us, when it happens like that, they will go to their places and breathe fresh air.
Their traditional areas.
Their traditional areas and breathe fresh air. So if we sit down here in Ghana and we will not speak the truth so that we will respect our elders who knew what they are about, but we will give ourselves to rogue elements within the Ghana state. We have some of them. Look, this that I have, this, they call themselves Neo-Docho Odwekwao. They caused the this thing.
The Bulgarian
embassy this thing. They don't have any family. They are a group of people, rogues.
But we can't substantiate that, so I will cautiously want us to stop there, and then we'll speak to it later. But,
yes,
but I want us to wrap up. Let me start with you. Ni Teno Ashigente, the second principal elder, Teno Way of Osu. I want you to look at the camera and then speak to your people or speak to government. Anything on your heart under 1 minute.
With a heavy heart, I speak as a representative of my people, the Osu people. And in the past, a number of things had happened which had culminated in this land seizure and people who need not to come close to our revered forest or lands that belong to our people to uplift the social well-being of our people. Government is talking about how to announce issues of threat and all of that, but government by its action is creating threats among the Ghana states. When we deny the people who, for whose livelihood depends on these resources, the Ghanaians do not have the cocos, they don't have the goals. What they have is their lands. Go to the various Ghana communities and see how people are struggling to make ends meet. What they have is what their forefathers had left them, which is their allodial properties by way of lands. If government loves gas, then government must do the right thing in making sure that what belongs to gas go to them.
Okay, so unfortunately, I will cut you because you're 1 minute up. Let me now ask our elder, I'll call you as such, Ni Odwekwao the second, the head of the Odwekwao family of Osu. Look into the camera and 1 minute, speak to your people or make a passionate appeal to all stakeholders.
Fine. We are telling government that, me as I'm sitting down here, I've also petitioned the government to give our land to us. It's behind the Rich Hospital. It's only 7 acres. If they can release 300 and over acres, they should release it to us. And the Achimota Forest, it belongs to the Osus too. So if they are prepared to release it, they should release it to us.
But do you want it to be released or should be kept as it is?
If they release it to us, what Ghanaians want that place to be? We are not the planners of the city. if you want to use a land to do the land use, it must conform with the authorities' plan and everything. We cannot decide what to do with that place. It is the government. That is their mandate. So if they give it to us, and it will be used for ecotourism, and then we are going to benefit from it. If they give it to us, and that they want to rear lions and this thing, we will go and find lions from Dubai and bring them and do that.
I'm sure at this stage I want us to end the conversation. Unfortunately, I would have wished that we continue having this conversation, but at least you may not have known a lot of things about this Achimota forest, the land grabbing going on there, but they have sent two strong signals that you may have the power today and you may want to use it for whatever you want. But the day the people of Osu will wake up, it can be the most fortified facility you want to put out there. They will bring it down. I want to leave this with Nathan Kwau's quote. I'll share it on the screen and wrap up with it. And it's loaded. If you're a public servant or a civil servant, please be bold and expose the thievery that is happening, and together let us protect state resources and the public purse. It says, it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward and not the politician. Nathan Anan Kwau, 1915 to 2005. And for many of you who don't know Nathan Kwau, he served in the late Jerry John Rawlings's administration. He was the secretary of the National Redemption Council. He was the secretary of the office of the PNDC and became the presidential advisor to the NDC administration and retired in 2000. May his soul rest in peace. My name is Eric Koku Ahainyo, and I've done this with some representatives of the Osu Traditional Council. I've mentioned their names severally. Good night. Tomorrow, between 1 and 2 p.m., this program will be repeated. See you again next week.